Hi guys, it's Sally here, and today's video is tips for maintaining healthy hair. Now, I have to say right off the bat, do not leave comments telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, because girl, yes I do. I am a licensed hairstylist in Ontario, Canada. That means that I went through schooling, I went through an apprenticeship with at a hair salon underneath somebody who was licensed, and then I had to go through examinations to get my license so I could legally do hair in Ontario, Canada. So believe me, if there's something about hair, I know about it, okay? So I know what I'm talking about. So I have made a list here, and I'm just going to read it right off my iPhone because it'll be so much easier this way. And I'm going to go through everything that I think you should keep in mind to maintain healthy hair. Now, girl, if your hair is overprocessed and if it's damaged and out the wazoo, then yeah, it's not coming back from the dead, honey. So if your hair is so damaged that you can't put a comb through it and it's like mush when you dry it and it's just stringy and looking horrible, there ain't nothing you can do. You can't bring it back from the dead. You can't, there's no miracle product that can restore overly damaged hair. I'm talking hair that's beyond the point of help. You cannot do anything. The best thing to do is to cut that hair out and start fresh. Hence why I have short hair again, because I kept deciding I wanted lighter hair, and then I changed my mind and wanted dark again, and then wanted light and then wanted dark, and this is what happens. You need to cut your hair and start fresh. So that's what I'm just gonna say right off the bat, okay? So what can you do now to maintain healthy hair, or to make sure that your hair stays healthy? Number one, do not brush or comb your hair when it's wet. Don't do it. The reason why you don't want to do this is because hair naturally is very elastic, which means if you take a single strand of your hair and you pull on it on both ends, you'll see that it has some flex to it. It pulls. When you have wet hair, the elasticity is already pulled from the hair being wet. The hair is very porous, it soaks up the water, and your hair elongates naturally from the weight of the water. So if you go ahead and you use a brush and you're further pulling on that hair, you're removing any of the elasticity in your hair, the natural elasticity that your hair has, which causes breakage and damage, so that when you dry your hair, it doesn't really bounce back at all. It just kind of stays long and promotes breakage. So do not do that. If you have really curly hair and you need to put a comb through it when it's wet, that's totally understandable, but the only way that, or the only time that you should be doing that is when your hair is super wet, when you've got leave-in conditioner in it, and when you use a wide tooth comb. Even this isn't wide enough in my opinion. I would even use something wider like a pick. Picks have very wide kind of spaces between the teeth of the comb, so make sure that you use a very wide tooth comb to go ahead and gently brush or comb through your hair when it's wet, okay? So that's the only time you should be doing that. Tip number 2, do not use waxy products on your hair or scalp, okay? How do you know if you have wax buildup on your hair? The easiest way to find that out is to take a strand of your hair, so just pull one strand out of your head, take a scissors and run the edge of the scissors, the sharp edge of the scissors, along the hair. So have somebody hold the hair and take your scissors and kind of scrape the edge of your hair. If you have white residue left on your scissors, that ain't good. That means you have wax buildup. So there could be different causes for that. It could be the products, the leave-in conditioners, or the products that you're putting in your hair, like hairspray or waxes. It could be the shampoo that you're using. If you're not using professional shampoo, it could be that as well. Pantene Pro V tends to be, and I love Pantene Pro V for so many reasons, but personally I would never ever use it, and I've actually found that that one in particular leaves a lot of residue on the hair, and I've had problems in the past with clients who've used that shampoo and had a lot of issues lightening their hair because it had to go through that wax buildup first. So it leaves a lot of residue, it leaves a lot of waxiness on the hair. It's not good. And it's not good for 2 reasons. Number one, actually 3 reasons. It weighs down the hair. So the wax buildup on the hair obviously makes it heavier and weighs it down, so you're not getting as much volume. Number 2 is your hair is not able to keep moisture in it. It's not able to pull moisture in it. If it's already coated with something, it doesn't have the ability to soak in moisture. So the hair ends up more dry in the end because it's unable to, have moisture go through that waxy buildup to get into the cortex of the hair. So it ends up even more dry, even though it looks shiny on the outside. It's really dry and brittle. Thirdly is when you are doing a chemical service like a permanent or hair coloring, it has to go through that layer of wax buildup before it can even affect the hair. So it's really horrible for that as well. So bear that in mind, which goes into another tip that I have, which is use professional products on your hair. If you can afford it, I know not everybody can afford to buy $30 worth of hair shampoo and conditioner, but there really is a difference between professional hair care products and the drugstore brands. I know it sounds so horrible and you think I'm just trying to take your money and sell, but I do not work for a professional hair product company. I'm telling you what I know from experience from working with hair and from my own clients, okay? So if you can't afford it, I strongly recommend you use professional products. My favorite ones, if you're interested in knowing that, is Biolage. I love Matrix line of hairstyling products, but not only the products, the shampoos and conditioners, really great. Okay, so my next tip is use a natural bristle brush whenever possible. Okay, the reason why you want to use a brush like this is because the bristles have kind of like how to explain, each bristle, natural bristle, has kind of like these little filaments that come out. They're not synthetic, so they're not perfectly smooth. They're kind of jagged, and what it does is when you're putting it through your hair, it's pulling all those and it's kind of scratching along the edge, the edges and the outer corners of your hair, and it's pulling it down. So it's taking that cuticle, which is kind of like little scales on your hair that kind of flap out like this, and it's combing them, it's brushing them in, so it's smoothing the hair out naturally using a natural bristle brush. So that's why you want to buy something that is not synthetic, that is natural bristles, okay? That's one of the main reasons why, is because you're smoothing the hair and it actually helps to keep the hair really nice and smooth. My next tip, tell your stylist if you use well water, or if you're putting henna in your hair, or if you are on any sort of medication, like heart medication in particular, okay? If you are getting a color service or a chemical service done to your hair, you need to tell your stylist about these things. The reason for that is because henna, which is a vegetable-based product, hair coloring product, it reacts very strongly with some hair coloring products that have ammonia in it. I have firsthand experience seeing the results of somebody who used well water as well, who have lots of minerals in their water, and the minerals deposit on the hair, they don't realize it, and then when we go ahead and try to color the hair, it reacts with the minerals in the hair and you end up with not nice experience. Unfortunately, one of the girls that came in, she was getting her hair, I was coloring her hair, I was lightening it for her wedding day, okay? So it was like 3 or 4 days before her wedding, and here I am putting foils in her hair with color, looking so good, pretty, folding up those packets, those foils, and then all of a sudden I feel this burning sensation on my foot, and I'm thinking, what the heck? Her hair had reacted so strongly, the mineral in her hair reacted so strongly to the chemicals that I put in her hair that it started boiling. Like literally the chemical reaction was boiling hair, and her hair was falling out in the foils, like it was just disintegrating. So luckily I only had just started doing her hair when I noticed this, so I pulled them all out really quickly, rinsed her hair out, and started over again. Luckily I could use lightener on her hair, but no other chemical process. So I was able to save her hair, thank goodness, but please tell your hairstylist if you were using any of those products, if you have well water, if you have henna in your hair, or if you're taking medication, because this is the kind of chemical reaction that can happen in your hair. Crazy, right? Next tip is do not over process your hair when you're coloring it. So when you are going to a hairstylist or a salon and you are getting your roots done, ask that they only do your roots and they don't pull the color hair on your ends. The only time that you want to put color on your ends is if you're putting a demi-permanent or a semi-permanent, a lighter product on the hair. It's basically not as strong of a chemical that they're putting on your ends to refresh the color, okay? So if you have somebody who's doing permanent hair color and they're putting it on your roots and then they pull it through on the ends for, you know, any length of time, make sure that this is like really okay for your hair and that your hair is still healthy. If your hair is really fine and really porous and you find it's becoming more and more damaged, stop putting it through on your ends, because that's what's causing the overly processed hair, and that's what's making your hair really damaged, okay? Next tip is when you shampoo your hair, you put the shampoo, first of all, on your scalp. You do not put it on your ends. Your hair ends don't really need to be washed per se. When you wash your hair, what you want to do is focus on the scalp and focus on the roots of your hair. So when you put your shampoo in your hands, put it on your head, work it through inside your hair and work it in your scalp area, because that's where you really need to wash your hair. Now when you're rinsing the hair and you're pulling that soap through the ends, your ends will naturally get cleaned from that, but really focus on the scalp. When you wash your hair too, what you want to do is use kind of like the pads of your fingers and really work your scalp, really massage your scalp and make sure that you get all that gunk off your scalp as well, because not only you're putting products and hairspray on your hair, it's getting through to your scalp as well, and it can clog some of those follicles, which can lead to hair loss and some problems. You can get bumps and irritants in your scalp as well. So make sure you massage really, really well, get all that sebum and all that natural oil in the hair follicles out to keep it nice and free and clean. Okay, so that's a big one right there. Number two, the second part of that too is that when you shampoo your hair, you want to use warm water, not hot water, because hot water can actually do more damage to the hair. You want to use like a tepid warm water when you wash your hair, and when you condition it, you want to use a nice cool water, and that closes the cuticle up. You remember those cuticles, those scales of the outer layers of the hair? They're like scales and they kind of open up. And what you want to do is when you apply your conditioner, apply it on your ends only, not your roots, because your roots don't need it, only on your ends, and then it'll smooth down that cuticle. And then when you use some cool water, then it cools off, it cools the cuticle, it smooths it all out, and you end up with really nice hair. So that's my major tip there. Another tip, always use leave-in conditioner. That goes for any hair type. If you have fine hair, if you have thick, coarse hair, always put a leave-in conditioner in your hair after you're done washing it. I don't think there's any time that you don't need product in your hair after you're done washing it. It's kind of like a must-have. It helps your hair to keep protected from the elements, from the sun, from heating, from the heat from your blow dryer. Yeah, just put product in your hair, put a leave-in conditioner in the least. Okay, another big tip that I have is coconut oil. Coconut oil is one of those oils that is the molecular structure of coconut oil is so small and so fine that it's able to actually go inside the hair. It's absolutely able to go through the cuticle into the cortex layer of the hair, strengthening it. It's proven, okay? So the same thing with argan oil, although coconut I think is still better. So go out there, buy yourself some organic coconut oil in a jar, warm up a little bit, take a few tablespoons of it and put it in a little cup, warm it up in the microwave for a few seconds until it's a liquid. Then take that in your dry hair, put it all over your dry hair, massage it in your scalp, really massage that scalp, get it in there, and leave it on overnight. I'm not kidding. Do that and leave it on overnight, and you're gonna wake up thinking you're gonna be a big mess, right? A big greasy mess. Not a big deal. Go into the shower, wash your hair. You might have to wash it once or 2 or 3 times to get all the oil out, but your hair is actually going to be in a better state. You're not going to notice that it's shinier. You're not going to notice that it feels smoother at all, because it doesn't actually do that. It goes into the hair to make it stronger, okay? So it's not like a conditioner where it smooths out the cuticle. It goes inside the hair to make it stronger. So when people use that coconut oil and they say it doesn't really make a difference, it doesn't really make a difference to the outside layers of the hair, but it does make a difference to the inside layers, okay? So bear that in mind. And the last tip that I have is avoid using excessive heat on your hair. So if you can avoid curling your hair with that curling iron, if you can avoid the straightening iron, try to. And I know it's really difficult because a lot of people want to do their hair, but there's so many other ways that you can do your hair and get some nice curls without using heat. There's tons of tutorials on YouTube. Go check them out. I even have like a blow dryer that curls my hair that does this look. I have curl formers, which do really beautiful ringlets without using any heat. So yeah, there's so many ways that you can curl your hair without using heat. Go check that out. If you do have to use a hot tool, make sure that you spray your hair with a heat protectant just to further prevent damage to your hair. Okay, so those are all my hair tips, my healthy hair tips. What I'm going to do is write them all down in the description bar below. If you have any hair questions at all, let me know. I will answer to the best of my abilities, and if I don't know the answer, I will do some research and figure it out for you, just for you. Subscribe for more videos, like this video, favorite it if you do, and I'll talk to you later. Bye guys.